I perhaps should start by extending the country's deep gratitude to the members of the National Heroes Park Committee, ably led by Permanent Secretary Mr. Osbert D'Souza, for a fantastic job over the last 3 or so years in bringing what was once described as barren land to a new Eden of something beautiful, wonderful, and historic. Let's give all the members a round of applause. And while I will not identify or name them all, I want to especially thank Mr. Osbert D'Souza and Mr. Calvin Pemberton, who was the architect and designer of the National Park, ably assisted by other personalities, one of whom is usually everywhere there's a call to national duty. I want to recognize Mr. Stanley Franks Jr., one of our greatest community activists. Wherever there's a need for an input, Stanley willingly grants his support and experience. I bid all of us a warm welcome to this year's special ceremony in honor of our national heroes. Not one national hero, not two, not a few of them, but to all our national heroes. The event is particularly special as we now have the full benefit of our beautiful park dedicated to them all. And today, we will unveil statues of those heroes who stand proudly as a powerful herald to all of our fellow countrymen and women, as well as visitors to St. Kitts and Nevis. They embody the very qualities and characteristics that have contributed to the positive development of our beloved Federation. We chose this location, or the committee did, for its strategic positioning as a highly visible welcome point and gateway to the rest of the island. It is fitting that we should properly honor those who have made such a significant contribution to the development of our beloved Federation. It is even more important that we should do this not only once a year as we do today, but that they stand all year round to remind us of those who have led the way for our greatness as a country and people. As such, they are a daily reminder to all of us of what can be achieved if we live our lives well. Greatness is not something that happens by accident. It is something which is the result of commitment and a sense of purpose. Each of us will recall a special person who has had a positive impact upon us. There may be someone close to home, or perhaps someone we know, or they may even be more remote, not within our personal circle, and they may even be like Mandela on the international stage. Regardless of who they are, or where they find themselves in the canon of history, they will all share a single, overriding quality with our very own national heroes, a devotion to purpose. We live in a world of instant messaging and the media that bring concepts, ideas, and emotions into our homes seamlessly and with a speed that is hard to fathom. These bubbles of information and experiences are tantalizing and fascinating. They both entertain and they inform. However, bubbles easily pop as they rise in the air leaving nothing behind to remind us of their presence. That is why it is so important to the Team Unity government to create a space that captured both the enduring nature and achievements of our heroes as a legacy for future generations to emulate. Some people think of fame in their lifetime as something to aspire to, believing that it will bring us the trappings of wealth, and that both the fame and wealth will make us happy. In our more somber moments, when we are less inebriated with these superficial thoughts of self-aggrandizement, we know that this is not so. Happiness is something that you and I know that money can buy. Money cannot buy. Happiness is, however, that enduring peace, sense of peace that fills the soul and the core of our being when the outer and the inner self truly align. We achieve that deep sense of well-being when we are satisfied with our place in the world and in what we have achieved. When we know that we have used the sands of time that slip so easily between our fingers to best effect. We can truthfully say that we have not frittered away with the frivolities and superficialities this God-given life that has been so preciously being bestowed upon each of us. The national heroes who we honor today did just that. They used their time on this earth well and with a sense of purpose, not seeking fame or wealth for themselves, but focusing on their purpose to create a better life for all of our people. Their motivation was not a quest for personal glory or fame, but the defense of basic values and principles which they hold dear. And through demonstration of a sense of duty and selfless sacrifice, they go on eventually to win decisive battles that make a real difference in the lives of our people. The struggle for social justice, respect for human dignity, and other noble causes by ordinary men and women who became heroes fundamentally changed the course of history. They contributed to making the world a better place with a better life for the present and future generations. The triumvirate of Sir Bradshaw, Sir Southwell, and Sir France are best remembered for their advocacy and action on behalf of the poor and the disadvantaged of St. Kitts Nevis and some Meaden Gwilla. France and Bradshaw loom large in trade unionism and politics and the self-rule and independence agenda. So Southwell is credited with the economic diversification of St. Kitts, Sir Daniel with setting a modern platform for the development of the island of Nevis, and Sir Kennedy as our first Prime Minister and the private sector-led growth and transformation of the 1980s. Our heroes therefore stand as inspiring symbols of hope. Where others see only thick dark clouds, heroes see bright rays of light in the background. When almost everyone says it can't be done, heroes quietly demonstrate that it can be done. For this reason, stories of heroism have always been a source of inspiration throughout human history. This year we remember once again those personalities upon whose shoulders we stand, grateful for the efforts, their dedication to country, and for their sense of purpose. Let's give them all a round of applause. The Right Excellent Sir Robert Llewellyn Bradshaw, the Right Excellent C.A. Paul Southwell, the Right Excellent Sir Joseph Nathaniel France, the Right Excellent Sir Simeon Daniel, Dr. the Right Excellent and Right Honorable Sir Kennedy Simmons, as we stand before these two giants of achievement, we should be both humbled and inspired, grateful and motivated, respectful and purposeful. We should focus our thoughts in this very moment to challenge ourselves to similarly use our lives well and to good effect, just as our national heroes did. Though they are idealized in some cases, heroes by no means achieve perfection. They remain as human as the rest of us, with their share of flaws and prone to making mistakes. Still, the most powerful lessons that heroes probably provide us is to never lose hope and to never give up. Our present national heroes were essentially political and/or trade union leaders who played pivotal roles in major political struggles of the past century that have transformed St. Kitts and Nevis for the better. The genesis was the landmark 1935 labor riots and Buckley's estate. It served as a catalyst for similar uprisings across the British colonial Caribbean. The Buckley's estate uprising represents a tipping point in our local and also regional history. Though the exploited masses of the day were primarily fighting for better wages and conditions of employment, the unrest at Buckley's took on a much broader dimension. It effectively marked the beginning of the end for the British colonialism in the Caribbean. The gradual transition from colony to associated state to sovereign nation state was finally completed for St. Kitts and Nevis in 1983 when we gained our independence. The Team Unity government, which I have the honor to lead, is committed to strengthening and safeguarding the legacy of all our national heroes. That is why we have developed this beautiful park. Your government is mindful that no females currently grace the pantheon of our national heroes. It may have been an oversight, but we are looking towards correction. It is an issue we plan to address, as gender equity represents an important plank of our policy platform for balanced development, which seeks to ensure that no one is left behind. We recall that landmark social and legislative reforms to advance women and children were realized with the naming of Her Excellency Constance Mitchum as Minister of Gender Affairs. It is no surprise that the observance of National Heroes Day and Independence Day always happens to be days apart, the 16th and the 19th. It reflects the existence of a symbiotic relationship between the two. Independence was won largely through the sacrificial struggles of our national heroes who we honor today. In addition to the unveiling of the life-size bronze statues of our heroes today, there are two other initiatives relating to our national heroes which are worthy of note. Firstly, the government is seeking to convert the former residence of our first Premier, Sir Robert Llewellyn Bradshaw, into a museum where residents and visitors can go to learn about his life and times. I am happy to say that no better person could have been found to provide leadership and support to this than our esteemed Governor General, Sir S.W. Tapley Seaton. And he advised me 2 weeks ago that this project is advancing apace. Good things are happening and more good things are coming. In the second initiative, The abandoned Buckley's plantation is being redeveloped for preservation as a National Heritage Site of national significance. Cabinet has approved a committee, and I'm pleased to report that Senator Keela Byron Nisbet chairs the committee spearheading this national effort. We are looking forward to hear from them and their work. As we celebrate our national heroes, we pray that more of our citizens, especially our young people, will be inspired by their example and be motivated to make their mark on history's page in an even bigger and more impactful way. The example of our heroes shows we are not entirely helpless in the face of challenging circumstances. To the contrary, by drawing on our inner strengths and firmly believing in the correctness of the mission before us, we can be masters of our fate and change the course of history, not so much for ourselves, but more particularly for those around us and those who will come after us. Not everyone can be a national hero, and not everyone should. But we must always recognize the long and meritorious contributions of our citizens to nation building. In this regard, I am pleased to report that the Cabinet shall look at revisions to the National Honors Act to ensure that it caters for the bravery and courage and other excellent work that is being done year after year, day after day, by our sons and daughters. Today, in keeping with the National Honors Act, I'm pleased to report that Cabinet has recommended to His Excellency the Governor General, and he has graciously endorsed the following honorees, which I now announce. I want to thank each and every one of them for their contribution to nation building. Help me applaud the work of Mr. Alfonso Barker as a business entrepreneur and in culture. For him, we have accorded the Companion of the Star of Merit. Mr. Kenneth Kelly, his partner, has also been recognized for business entrepreneurship. Mr. Alfonso Bridgewater, Sports Administration and Public Service. Mr. Creighton Pension for Culture. Mr. J. Calvin Foy for Policing and Community Service. Mr. Elston Ellie McNero for Musical Excellence, locally, regionally, and internationally. The ladies will take delight that Mrs. Sylvine Henry has been recognized for public service and community service. And those who knew the man, Mr. Hilton Clark, would applaud his recognition for service to education and the general community. The list would not have been completed without recognition for a musical entertainer and genius in Mr. Adrian Lamb. Could we give him a round of applause for sterling contribution to musical production and community service? My own head teacher at Keon High School has been recognized, Ambassador His Excellency Mr. Sidney Osborne, for service to education and public service. Then, for the Medal of Honor, the following persons have been recognized. Mrs. Elenita Nathaniel for education and community service. Mr. Sylvester Hodge, King Socrates, Calypso and music. Mr. Valston Shield, King Starshield, Calypso and music. Mrs. Jacqueline Leader, Singing Jackie, for Calypso and music. We have added Mr. Errol Dolphin King Arrow in calypso and music. And of course, what would Carnival and Christmas be and culture without the Mansion Bull? So we today recognize the sterling pioneering efforts of Mr. Lionel Gum's Mansion Bull for contribution in culture. As the good book says in Ecclesiastes, chapter 3, verse 1, to everything there is a season, and a time to every purpose under the heaven. My government exists to serve our people and country honorably and with distinction as a nation under God. As we consider that purpose, we can reflect upon the words of Kofi Annan, former Secretary General of the United Nations. He was renowned for his focus and commitment to peace and remembered for a life well lived. He said, and I quote, "To live is to choose, but to choose well. You must know who you are and what you stand for, where you want to go, and why you want to get there," end of quote. I say to you, let us use our time well, and in so doing, individually and collectively, achieve greatness in nation building. May God bless and guide us and help us on our path and enable the people of St. Kitts and Nevis to also live our lives well in service to our country, to each other, and to our God. To God be the glory. I thank you.
Stay up to date with news, programs, and activities of the government with SKNIS. Like us on Facebook. Listen to us on SoundCloud. Follow us on Twitter. And watch our videos on YouTube. Connect with us today. SKNIS, St. Kitts and Nevis Information Service.